porque ya no la pueden sembrar de habichuela. Porque si la siembra de habichuela, queda afectada la tierra, hay que enfriarla.
Frustration and anger are written on the faces of these small-scale farmers in the Dominican Republic.
Y cosas, frutos menores, las habichuelas se han ido perdiendo total. Y toda la tierra que no se han estado sembrando de arroz han sido habichuelas perdidas. Cosecha de arroz.
Bean farming used to be good, but in recent years the bean plants have just turned yellow, withered, and died. Gone are the days when hard work on the land was enough. These farmers are desperate for help.
No, en esta tierra, en este pedazo aquí, tenemos tiempo que no nos da producto, porque uno lo que hace es perder.
And the problem is not just on beans in the Dominican Republic. It's on tomatoes, cassava, sweet potatoes, melons, eggplants, and it's all over the tropical and subtropical world, a set of viral plant diseases that have one thing in common. They're spreading rapidly with the help of a tiny insect called the whitefly. These farmers are on the front line of a battle in which they feel they have no weapons.
If you come here on December or January in your hot season, you can get this C1, there is no anything inside.
Ni kwa kipindi hiki kweli nimekata.
Sí, hay años que no da nada.
Bueno, aquí no se ha presentado un año malo como este, en lo que yo estoy aquí no. Sí, porque cuando atado así hay que poner los animales.
Semilito Adames works this land near Arroyo Loro in the Dominican Republic. For him and the other bean farmers in the region, dry weather at the beginning of the planting season always spells disaster. They might not have heard about plant viruses, but they've all seen the whiteflies and suspect they are part of the problem.
Sí, bastante. Aquí había bastante. Este año como nunca. Eso era un enjambre de la mosquita blanca que depende de esa enfermedad.
The farmers' suspicions have been confirmed by research.
What we see is the connection of whiteflies with viruses, a particular type of viruses that are called Yemeni viruses that are very, very destructive. And it is very common to find fields that are 100% infested or infected with those viruses.
Farmers who can afford pesticides have tried them, but they say the spraying does little good.
Bueno, nosotros la fumigamos, pero ya al verla, por ejemplo, en una condición así, pues uno no puede estar gastando dinero.
It's easy for the species to develop resistance to several pesticides. Farmers are using a lot of pesticides, damaging the environment, increasing the cost of production. So it's a very serious problem.
Intense insecticide application harms human health and may make the whitefly problem even worse by destroying the insect's natural enemies. When conditions are right, the whiteflies descend in clouds, but even if only a few whiteflies carry the virus, damage will be done.
In many cases, like let's say in Zacapa, Guatemala, Zapotitan, El Salvador, Cebaco, Nicaragua, it has been common that many growers have just abandoned their plots of land because they are unable to deal with that problem. They have relied upon insecticides.
Tomatoes have been devastated too. Freddy De Leon, a farmer in Azua in the Dominican Republic, couldn't sell any of this crop to the city markets. It's all he can do to salvage a few undersized tomatoes for his roadside stall.
Oh, que salen volando, toda esa mosquita blanca. De que mueve la mata y una vez salen volando. Oh, lo que hay es tristeza, necesidad.
In Eastern Africa, the story is the same. Elafe Ndringo farms in the shadow of Mount Kilimanjaro. Like Freddy De Leon, she has just about given up on tomatoes.
Hizi nyanya zilianza ugonjwa kwenye kitalu. Walianza wale wadudu kwenye majani hivi wale wanaotembea ndani kwa ndani kwenye majani. Weupe alafu wana njano pale, yani yule mdudu anavyotembea ni wa njano kidogo.
Carefully stacked piles of tomatoes are a common sight in African markets. They're an important source of cash that farmers like Elafe can't afford to lose.
Kwa kweli sijui.
is spreading in all Mediterranean countries, now in this part of Africa, beginning Egypt, Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Malawi.
In the last decade, whitefly-transmitted viruses have devastated tomatoes and other crops, deepening the poverty of farm families that have been hit the hardest.
This is a big loss. A big loss.
Cassava is another vital crop that has come under attack from the whiteflies and the viruses they carry. For many of the world's poorest people, cassava has been a lifesaver. It was believed indestructible, a survivor in the hardest of times, times when all other crops failed. For years, it even resisted African cassava mosaic disease. But not anymore. Over large areas of Uganda, it's almost impossible to grow cassava. Dr. William Otimnape heads the Root Crops Program of Uganda's National Agricultural Research Organization.
A new strain of mosaic virus has appeared in the population. And this virus has been spreading very rapidly because of the whiteflies. Whiteflies are the vectors of this particular virus. And it does appear that the whiteflies seem to pick this particular strain of the virus more easily and therefore disseminate it very widely.
Kwegamba yali mulungi mwogo mu 88 naye n'agenda ng'alwalamu ekikolo kimu kimu muyiika ng'oyinza kusangamu ebikolo nga 10 oba 8 muyiika ennamba. Oluvannyuma kwegamba mu 89 ne butandika okugenda nga bweyongera kati mu mwaka ogw'ekyenda ne kibeerera ddala kibi nnyo.
The epidemic moves in the form of a front. You see a clear demarcation between areas which is totally devastated by the disease, totally 100%, all the plants are 100% infected, an area where the cassava is totally healthy.
Harriet Lubwama lost everything, but she and her family have started growing cassava again, testing new varieties that show some resistance to new strains of the virus. Before scientists developed resistant cassava, she and her family reluctantly turned to other crops, like sweet potato.
Anti olw'okuba nti twali tumanyidde emmere nnyingi era tekyali kirungi kubanga akawunga twali tetukamanyidde kalya nga tumanyidde kulya muwogo ne lumonde kati olw'okuba nti muwogo yali taliiwo kale era tekyatukola bulungi.
Even that choice has disappeared for many Ugandan farmers. Like Harriet, Rehema Nalubua grew cassava. When the whiteflies wiped it out, she also switched to sweet potatoes.
Now this is the virus in the whitefly.
But the whiteflies carry viruses that kill them too.
Ndabirawo nga musimbye nkatabaze ne muwogo naye ye muwogo bwe musimba agenge wala kyonche nasooka okulaba ati bw'aba agenge wadde ne bwe musema tekubeera ne lumonde bw'atyo yinza okulusimba oluko mu ttaka ngenda okulusimira nga wali bwe mulabye nga lukutuka nga luvunze nga tekuli na mmere.
Agricultural scientists are looking for answers, but the whitefly is an elusive enemy. As farming has intensified, new forms of old viruses have evolved, for which crops have no resistance. This is coupled with the spread of biotypes of whiteflies that are more capable of transmitting the viruses. Despite the severity of this problem, few people grasp its global dimensions.
When I attended the whitefly workshop in CIAT just last year, I was scrambling for information.
The whitefly species has the ability to adapt to new crops, to find new hosts. So we expect that we can have serious problems in the future, worse than we have it now.
But scientists in Africa and Latin America are convinced that by working together, across crops and scientific disciplines, across national boundaries, and even across continents, they will find environmentally sound solutions.
I think even here in Tanzania, actually, we are very good plant virologists. It's only a matter if they could have the necessary funds.
Baali bakinsuubizaako bwe batyo. Ne baŋŋamba nti baasanga nabo obuzibu nga malagala matono.
Without that help, farmers throughout the developing world will lose even more to the white plague.